I'm Dr. Christine Whelan, a recent bride and relationship columnist. Brides, I get it. Let's get your questions answered.
I'm Father Eric Andrews, a Paulist priest who prefers funerals to weddings. Welcome to another webisode of The Princess, the Priest, and the War for the Perfect Wedding.
Hey, my name's Laura. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I really want the photographer to be able to get on the altar and take our picture and get the great shot of us up there with everyone in the pews in the background, but the priest won't let us. How come?
Smile, Christine. Smile. Is the flash going? Oh, you're looking.
Paparazzi! Paparazzi!
Woohoo! Hey, I love taking pictures, and I love working with photographers, and I just have to say, usually in my experience, the photographers are a lot more easy to work with than the brides or their mothers. I just have to say.
All right. So I think this is something that I've heard a lot about. There is a priest where I am living right now who will allow the photographer to come up and stand next to him to get that fabulous shot of the bride and the groom with all of their guests in the pews behind them. Now, thing is, he's the only priest that allows this, and only for some certain couples. So a lot of the other priests are a little bit irritated because this is probably breaking the rules. Is there a rule here? I don't know.
Well, generally speaking, the rule is that the sanctuary or the space in the church that is considered the holiest would be the altar, the pulpit, where the bride and groom will be exchanging their vows, are considered sacred places. And so to have a cameraman all over that space taking pictures is distractful, and it's also disrespectful to many who will be attending the ceremony. And so you really have to work with the pastor to see what is out of bounds and what is okay. And generally, because they do so many weddings, they know, and a photographer knows where the best place is, even if you can't get the great shot over the shoulder, the pre-shot. So, and some priests, and it's not set in stone from church to church. So some places they allow flash, and some places they don't. Some places you can get real close, and other places you have to be in the choir loft. So, you know.
All right, but wedding photos are really important to couples, right? Because these are really going to be prized photographs, hopefully for the rest of their lives. And so you want to get a good shot. I've also heard of photographers who sort of back their way down the aisle when the bride and the groom, or the bride and her father are walking down the aisle. And that is a little paparazzi-ish, I think. So I know a lot of churches have give out rules, that have printed handouts about what photographers and videographers can and cannot do. But it sounds like this is kind of on a church-to-church basis.
Right, and the priest is probably not going to referee what the photographer is doing in the aisle. So that's up for the bride and groom to speak to their photographer and say, "Don't do that. That's not cool." And so we don't, and may want to communicate that with the photographer. Now, just one caveat about this whole thing. Some of this may have something to do with American sensibilities, because I've done weddings. I've been invited to do weddings or participate in them in Puerto Rico and in Brazil, and in that case, the photographer was all over the altar, and no one seemed to bat an eye. And this even happens sometimes in the U.S., where a priest who has one set of rules for the Anglos, when he's having mass with Mexican Americans or wedding mass, the photographer goes all over the place. So, part of it is our Anglo-American sensibilities that sometimes get into the middle of all of this, too.
Okay,
that influences these rules.
So there's no sort of, canonical rule here. There's no sort of higher order from the church. It's basically what the priest is comfortable with. And so this seems to be something that brides and grooms really should be talking to their priest about early on, and figuring out what everybody is comfortable with, what the desires are. Now, by the way, there are plenty of opportunities to have photographs when you are walking out of the church. So there are some great steps great photos when you're on the steps, and you can have these wonderful moments as you're sort of happy as clams, newlyweds, beaming, and there are plenty of paparazzi moments later on.
Absolutely, and I keep telling the grooms, they don't like it, but you got to smile, smile, smile. It's a long day of picture taking, so just get into it, guys. Smile.
Strike a pose. Best wishes to you guys.